Good day, everybody. Tracy Brown here, your somatic nutrition therapist and intuitive eating and body image specialist. So we are here this week. I don't tend to talk too much about like every single holiday that America ever has, but we're kind of in a food holiday this week here, and a lot of people are, hopefully, if you're watching this, you are, and if you have plans to be around people, people and food in general, I think this is an important video series for you to watch. I mean, again, you can use this at any time when you need to, really think about how to, take your intuitive eating and your recovery to the next level, and you can apply it. So let's say you're at a place where, this video is for everybody. So let's say you're at a place where it's like, I'm doing really good with intuitive eating, I'm good. You might find that, there's this internal thing with yourself that needs, we all need a strengthening about how to say no when we want to say no, and yes when we really mean yes. And so that's what we're going to talk about today and this week. Let me think here. So I'm just actually thinking out loud because we're going to do a video today, and since we have our free Q&A on Wednesday evening, I might just do a really brief video on Wednesday morning just to let you know, like remind you, hey, we're doing a live Q&A Wednesday night, the night before Thanksgiving, so you just have some encouragement before you go into tomorrow. And the other thing is, if you haven't already, please get the free class. And I don't talk a ton about it, but all it is a 45-minute audio of me going through a series of how to plan to use intuitive eating to help you. So literally, you might know the hunger fullness scale really well, but maybe you're not quite as good at like using it to think ahead about timing of meals and when your meal's going to be, and how full you want to feel and all those kind of things. And it sounds a little like meal planning, and there's an element of we're not controlling how much you eat and even what you eat. What we are trying to do is give any scared parts of you, like, here's the edges, of like, I know what to expect. And because oftentimes we know what we need to do, but in those moments when we get a little scared, some of the I know what I need to do kind of flies out the window. So here's something you can write everything down you need to write down, have it available, and you don't have to make decisions. It can just be, this is what I'm going to do today, and it's like my tool, or it's like your support. I've got this at my back, and I'm okay. So, boundaries. We all know what they are, theoretically, but I don't know how many of you are really good at them. And when I say good at them, I mean, we know, let's just be really basic. From a hunger fullness perspective and a self-care perspective, having good boundaries is, when you're hungry. We know how to stop when we're full. We know that, like, yeah, we can survive on the food we have, but how good of self-care is it to like put off getting groceries for a month when you've known you need them for 2 weeks? This is a big one, and this is going to be a really big one, even for Thanksgiving, is if you're around food pushers or people who love it when you eat lots of their food because it makes them feel like you're appreciating them or loving them, and being able to really, say no. That's really important to know how to navigate that. Boundaries with your sleep. I mean, how hard, raise your hand if you've ever maybe not had the best boundaries with your nighttime routine of like, I need to shut off Netflix and maybe just read a little bit instead and get myself to sleep at a time where I can get up and have time for breakfast the next day, or pack some things, or time for a walk, or to journal, or whatever that would feel good for you the next day. Boundaries, it's difficult. They're not easy. I mean, I don't know if any kind of boundary that's all that easy. Some people would say, oh, my boundaries are so easy. I can just with anybody. And I would say, is that choiceful? That's the other part of boundaries I want to talk about, is saying no to everything as fast as possible always, like, in the long term, the best possible thing for you? Or is it just like, that's my defensive strategy. I just prevent any hurt from being possible and keep it all up. And that's obviously going to be really common for people who avoid social interactions with food, or taking food risk in general. So having that high and close boundary to where there's no room around you to navigate, yeah, you have a really close boundary, all right, but it's probably suffocating you sometimes. So boundaries around food and body stuff is the first step. Is you really working on boundaries are easier to do once you get clear about a couple things. Is you get clear about what you want. And for some people, you can stop the video and come back to the rest of it in like a couple days after you thought about, what do I truly want to eat? If I didn't worry about weight, if I didn't worry about calories, what would I want to eat? And what would that look like? You know, and that's a key part with this Thanksgiving thing, is like, you have to decide how you want to feel. And some people say, oh, I want to be able to eat Thanksgiving and not have any of the desserts. Is that really what you want? Or is that what your eating disorder and diet voice wants? So we're not looking for that. We're looking for genuine, authentic, what do you want? The second part is, knowing your situations and knowing what's in your say and what's not. There are going to be people around you that they're just going to diet. They might know that you're not a dieter anymore. They might respect that. They might not. They might likely maybe not understand that, like, talking constantly about food is difficult for you to be around and hear. And you would think, like, gosh, don't they know? Like, I've been in recovery for 5 years and they're still talking about this. And, had a lot of struggles. And they even got advice not to be talking about food and body, and especially other people's bodies so much. And they're still doing it. That's difficult, right? And you have to decide, like, well, how much of that can I be around, if much of any, or how long can you deal with it, or whatever. There's a lot of things for you to be considering, like, how do you want things to be. Then you have to decide, well, what is or isn't in your say. And thirdly, what does it mean for you? What does it mean about you? What does it feel like, the idea of, like, if you imagine having a boundary about something, like food or body comments, or even your choices of options, and you were to speak that out loud, like, what does that feel like for you? What comes up for you? What is your experience with having a say, having choice or having a say about things? That way you can know what to even have a boundary like adequately around, So there's a lot of questions to be asked to make keeping and having boundaries just a little bit easier. So I would really encourage everybody who hasn't, if you're haven't done any of this kind of work, go back from the very beginning, get your notepad and pen out, and answer those questions. Like, I'll go back and summarize them here real quick. Is, 1, what do you want? 2, what is in your say? Not what I mean control, but what is in your say and what is not in your say? And 3, what's your experience with actually having boundaries, and what would it mean about you if you did? Add a little extra to it, and what would that mean about you? And so you'll get some ideas of where the gaps are into having the kind of food and body talk, let's say boundaries, that you'd like to have. And remember, it's not just about the external environment, it's about our own internal environment. What are we saying to ourselves that makes keeping healthy boundaries and being kind and supportive, what in us is making that difficult as well. So thank you everybody who watched today. I know I started a little earlier than usual, kind of had to get going for the day. If you are just joining live now, please go back to the beginning and watch the whole thing with your pen and your paper, because there are some notes to take and there are some exercises to go through. So I hope you enjoy that. I'd love to see your comments below if you have not already signed up for the holiday eating course. Please do so. It's a free gift. In November I do gifties. That's kind of been my thing to do every year, is to give gifts and discounts and all kinds of good stuff in the next, pretty much from now until the next 2 weeks. So be kind of looking out for things, and we'll talk real soon. Take care. Bye.